days ago when I sent the message, his secretary responded in a very happy way. The boss will be there. And here he is, the boss of the city, Mayor Chikris. Okay? And
here is
we would like to have our boss of the city celebrating International Human Rights Day, year number 66. This effort, we are here sitting and in solidarity with the folks from Vietnam. And we are very grateful having you here with us today. And ladies and gentlemen, our mayor will have two things for us.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you all for coming out today as we observe International Human Rights Day. It's a time to stop and think about those who don't have human rights and to continue the struggle for human rights for all people. But I particularly wanted to come and thank our Vietnamese American community here in San Jose for the work that you've done on human rights. And I wanted to acknowledge the sacrifices of the men and women of Vietnam as they struggle for human rights in Vietnam. Of course, they're not the only place in the world that's struggling for human rights. There are many other places where people do not have human rights. And so as we observe International Human Rights Day, it's always good to think about, well, where did this concept come from, that individuals have human rights? And I want to just acknowledge as we approach Hanukkah and Christmas that it's the Judeo-Christian tradition that was incorporated by the founding fathers of the United States of America, that the human rights belong to the individual. They're not granted by the state, they're granted by God. And it is the duty of the state to protect those rights and secure those rights for all people. Now, of course, that's the United States embedded in our Declaration of Independence. It's part of our values. And, of course, not all countries in the world share those values. And so the struggle goes on, but it takes these kinds of events to make sure that people don't forget and take for granted human rights. So I want to thank all of you for coming out, for continuing the struggle, continue to keep the focus on the fact that people are being held as prisoners and that people are being deprived of their human rights. We have a great city. I'm honored to be the mayor. I'm proud to be the mayor of the largest population of Vietnamese outside of Vietnam. You've made huge contributions to our city. You've done a great job here in the city. And most of all, you have shown the world what can happen when the Vietnamese people are given human rights, are allowed to exercise their human rights, that they have democracy, they have freedom, and they have the right to engage in capitalism. So you've demonstrated for the entire world the difference between human rights, freedom, and the oppressive system that the people of Vietnam still suffer from. So thank you for that. Thank you for your contribution. Dan, I want to thank you in particular. Dan has been a stalwart guide for me. Obviously, I don't really speak the Vietnamese language very well. I got a phrase or two, so I don't fully understand what's going on in the Vietnamese community, and I need people like Dan to make sure I don't get confused. I appreciate that. Dan has been a great help to me. So thank you all for coming out here today. Thank you for your service to this country and our community. Come on.